Hey, it's me. This is vlog number 3, and it's pretty late in the day. It's almost 2:30, I believe. And I'm reading a book maybe you'll recognize, Charles Darwin and the Descent of Man. And I'm reading this book, and I was reading it at my grandparents' house, but I skipped the introduction because I usually don't read the introduction in books, especially if it's like a Penguin Classics where it's not the original author who wrote the introduction. But when we were driving 8 hours back up to where we are now from Austin, my dad accidentally misplaced my bookmark and I lost my place, so I decided why not just read the introduction and start over, see if I can understand it a bit better than I did. And in the introduction, I found out Charles Darwin came from a family of renowned abolitionist. I don't know how to pronounce it. Abolitionist. They were in favor of abolition of slavery. They hated it. It was, and I must agree, slavery was awful. And I'm coming to find out we didn't enslave African people because we were scared of their numbers or anything. We did it because we thought that they were inferior. We thought that they were inferior to us. And I'm reading it, and Charles Darwin would keep notebooks, secretly, covertly, as the book describes, and he would, when he was angry, instead of lashing out, he would write it down in thick words, and one of the things that he said that I thought was really good, and he wrote down, "Man thinks himself of a creation worthy of a deity, when really he should, when really more humbly and as I think true, we are derived from animals." He came to that conclusion when he was on board the Beagle, which he was circumnavigating the world, and he stopped in Brazil, and then they went up to the American colonies to stop by, and he saw for the first time what they called savages, Indians who lived off the land, and he was horrified. And he was so used to civilized England, to civilized London, everything, and he on the Beagle there were 3 Indians who had become civilized, they said, in London, who had learned English and represented High Court, actually, and it was such a difference, and yet when he saw them, he said, well, they are my brothers, that we are both derived from the same animal, we both have the same descent, and descent, the book is titled The Descent of Man. Descent doesn't mean descent as in mankind's going down, which I originally thought it meant. Descent was the word that they used in the 1830s specifically to describe ancestry. So it's basically the origin of man. But anyway, and Charles Darwin saw these Indians, savages, and he didn't understand, but one thing he understood was that maybe our ancestors, when we finally evolved from apes or wherever we're from, we must have been in such a state. We would have been living off the land, we would have still had animalistic tendencies, and we hadn't stepped up on the evolutionary chain. And he said that isn't to say that savages are that they couldn't become civilized like the ones on board the ship he was on, but that was to say that they just, because they weren't around anybody else, all they had were the same, they never had a chance to evolve mentally in those conditions because they were constantly it was more of an adaptation than instinct. They had adapted to their surroundings, they knew there were animals who attacked them, there were people, everybody was attacking each other, they just adapted and became fierce people who did not like strangers. And then he, of course, throughout his life, and I found out the reason he wrote The Descent of Man was because of slavery. The big issue, he called it sexual selection, and by meaning the word sex in that context means race, hair color, skin color, everything, texture of skin, texture of hair. That's what it means, sex selection. And he wanted to know, he was constantly in his little notebooks making little tidbits, little notes of people that he saw. And I gotta say, that interests me too. It's kind of fun when you're looking through the photo album to look at your grandparents and see the characteristics that are the same, and I'm sure it's not to the extent that he did it, but he really did write down, he's like, oh, these people have similar thinking skills. He was in a bar once with a freed slave, and he was talking to him, and all the while he was talking to this man who later became a good friend. He was writing down things that the black man would say that were very much like he would say. In other words, he was saying they are not different from us. We both are derived from the same species. To say that they are from, the big issue was that Negroes were from a different species, and it's not true. And and it's just amazing to have that much of a grasp on something that was so taboo at the time that you didn't even, I mean, it was 1813 before you wouldn't be jailed for disagreeing with the Trinity or the Bible of the time. And it's crazy to think about how he was terrified to publish this book and his other book, The Origin, because he knew how much religion was affiliated with everything of the day, and if you so much as rubbed the nose of the priest the wrong way, you would be jailed. It was a very hard time, and it's really cool to have someone like that in history. I don't know, it's very interesting. This is the first nonfiction book I've read in a while, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm just at the introduction. So, yeah, this is kind of a different vlog, but I just thought it was very interesting. It's crazy what interests you, I guess. Makes me want to go to Cambridge and learn go into the medical field or something, who knows. But anyway, back on normal things. Not that that isn't, but my room looks a lot better. I cleaned it up a little bit. I have it all organized, so when I start packing, I can immediately get to it. And yeah, I'll show y'all. See, it looks a lot better. I hope y'all could see it, but before the video that I tagged on to vlog number 2, it didn't look very good, as you can tell. So yeah, I moved to Florida in less than 3 days. 2.25 days and counting. So yeah, it's already Friday. We just have Saturday and Sunday, and then we're done. We're leaving. So I'm gonna go ahead and read my book some more, and maybe go to get some coffee if we have any, because I'm kind of tired because I didn't get a good sleep. I did my nails, Iron Man, just kind of something to do. And yeah, my dad's going out selling things so that we can afford going to Florida. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm starting to get a bit hyped up about Florida, which is fantastic, because as you saw in my other vlogs, I was kind of weary of it. But alright, I will see y'all later. Bye.